Morning. Can you hear me? Yeah. Okay. For me, this is a very special moment, to be honest, because as Ole just mentioned, we are working for the automotive industry. I am from the automotive industry. I spend a lot of time there. Yeah.
This is Dennis.
Oh.
Can you use my microphone?
Oh.
Because it seems like...
Is it better
now? Okay. All right. So for me, it's a very special, very emotional moment because, as Ole just mentioned, we really develop innovations and concepts for also the automotive industry far ahead in the future. So we are normally not allowed to speak of our work. And we work for the classic OEMs, but we also work for companies like Google X. We also work with the Apple car group. I would like to give you some insights how I see what's happening right now, because as it just was said in the panel, there's no doubt the automotive industry is under full attack. And on the one side, I like that very much, because hopefully the industry is changing now. But on the other side, it's also in my interest, and I think in the interest of many people, that the automotive industry can make that move. And before I give you some insights, what I think, how we have to reinvent the car, because this is my main point here on stage. I think we really have to think about the car as a completely new product, and also the way we develop it and the way we make it. The interesting thing is, if you look back in the past decades, even almost the last 100 years, automotive design, automotive engineering was quite dogmatic. It did not really change a lot. Oops, now the clicker is not working. It's not working. The clicker is not working. Yeah, so as it was said already in the panel with Holger, we have a lot of new players. We have really evolving mobility rituals, and this is something where I'm also sometimes sad when I work with the automotive industry, because sometimes they don't really understand how the usage patterns of the people, the rituals around cars are really changing drastically. We have exponential technologies available. We have an unpredictable newness. And this is really a game changer. And by the way, I will not talk about autonomous driving. I will not talk about connectivity. I'm not talking data. I'm not talking on-demand mobility, because for me, this is all a given. And I can just tell you from working with the Apple car group, from Google X, these things are going to be faster on the road as we all can imagine. And whenever we see automotive roadmaps from the big OEMs, we are really surprised when they think about autonomous, updatable software by 2018, 2019. We need way more speed here. Can you click again? It's not working. And what I want to show you is how I think we should reinvent the fundamental building blocks of automotive design. So, as I said, unfortunately, I cannot show you what we are currently working on. These are projects we have been working on the past. You see the BMW Gina, you see a three-wheeler concept for Volkswagen. And I have to tell you, we love cars. But we also believe in radical car concepts. And this is what we think should be happening in the next couple of years to really reignite the fascination for cars. For me, the whole discussion about cars, it became too rational. And we need to bring back also the emotions. And so this is, for example, just a structural study we did many years ago. And this is the question Wired actually asked me. What is the car of tomorrow? This is very difficult to say. The other question is, what is driving that newness? And this we can talk about. And I would like to do a little game with you, but I only have 10 minutes. So these are 8 of the most successful cars in the world. You might only see maybe 1 car or 2 cars. You might maybe recognize 2 or 3 cars. But these are really 8 very different cars. So one answer, what's going to be new in the future is we have to get rid, hopefully, of the homogeneous soup of cars today. And last week I did an outline analysis. These are the outlines, the envelope, as we call it in automotive design, of these 8 cars. And yes, a lot of cars really look good, but they all look the same. And this is, for example, one thing where I think we should really be going new ways. And clicker, yes, it works. And just to share with you, I think we should really drop some of the things. Every car is a box on wheels. Every car design is pushed by the advent of pressed metal. Every car is symmetric, and we are perfecting the continuity of form, the continuity of aerodynamics. The restrictions we have from fully automated assembly, lines, cut lines, lights, its cartoon characteristics, and really insignificant layer manipulations. And to be honest, I think we really should push the envelope now and go beyond the obvious. I would like to see a car that, for example, behaves like a living organism. I want to see a car that has an aura. I really want to see cars, and by the way, maybe it's not a car, maybe it's a space that understands the environment as a multisensual device, is not talking with me only with my eyes and with my hands, is the perfect car environment fusion, and finally, is highly modular. And I'm talking about not only upgradable software, I'm talking about upgradable hardware. So a digiphysical but poetic space of desire that enhances our productivity, a car that understands me and enables me to have new experiences. This is what I would like to see on the road. And last but not least, and it was in the talk earlier, it was said, data and hardware should be, software and hardware should be separated. I don't think so. I think if we want to have a car that's the perfect human-car symbiosis, we need to merge sensors with hardware, data with hardware. And if you look at a car today, it's a piece of metal and it's a piece of plastic. It's not very human. It does not react. It does not behave like a human. It cannot frown and smile. I have a lot of wrinkles here. So where are, the aging of a car, the human factor of a car? And the purpose of the car, I believe, has to drastically change. And why is that? Because there are new mobility rituals. And I think we deserve a new mobility experience beyond autonomous driving and all these kind of things. So what are new rituals? New rituals, and this comes from our own market research, qualitative, quantitative market research, people want to expect from a car that it keeps it in the flow, in the rhythm. They want to be on top of things at any time. They expect the car to put them in a state of peace of mind. Living multiple identities. Today I'm the family father in the car. Tomorrow I'm the single guy who is just going mountain biking. And also with autonomous driving, the car should be able to teach me, to let me grow, to inspire me. And if we break this down now or translate it into how the purpose of the car is changing, by the way, this was not on purpose that this is an Audi wireframe, sorry. This can be any car. The new purpose of the car is the car has to inform us inside out. It has to be a contextualized learning and knowledge hub. I want to learn in the car. It's going to be my health advisor. It's going to be a transaction platform. It's basically a rolling retail store. And last but not least, it should be my concierge and my experience space. And by the way, left and right in red. Sure, in the future, or basically very soon, we're going to have zero accident driving. But this one here, I want to have a zero footprint drive. And I'm not talking about the CO2 and the liters per kilometers only. I'm talking about a zero footprint, CO2, NOx, social and water footprint along or across the entire value chain. This is what we are striving for. So we believe we need a whole set of new building blocks. And it's not only what I told you about the functions of the car, the aesthetics, the proportions, the architecture, it's the way we make the business case for the car, it's the way we manufacture it, and especially also the attitude, how we develop it. And let me just give you some examples, and this goes really fast now, of a couple of building blocks we believe are going to be relevant, and not in the future, now. Let's talk about the morphology and the architecture of the car first. Updatable hardware. And no gas tanks anymore, less IC engines. We're going to have frictionless drives. We even maybe might see fusion drives in the future. And with autonomous driving, less crash structure. Means I completely rethink the vehicle. Let's talk about shapes and functions. Let's bring surfaces alive. Make them transformative. Let the shape of a car change. Make the interfaces more natural, oral. Use certain parts of the car and give them a second purpose if the car is standing, if the car is parked. Materials, 3D printed series parts, nano material application, bionic materials, bionic applications and specifically functions if we want to humanize the vehicle. When we talk about proportions, we're going to see a lot of pods, self-driving pods. Let's make them emotional. Let's play with light. Let's manipulate the surface and play with asymmetry instead of symmetry and make the car transformable in size, in length, in wheelbase, in all these kind of things. New R&D tools. I'm thinking about, consider the car a Carduino, like Arduino. The mentality of hacking. Let's break down the development process from 4 years to down years and let's develop hardware in a kind of a Scrum-like attitude. Rapid time to market, Google X, Apple, they're going to be in a hardware stage where they develop hardware in 2 years. And they give a lot of power to their own people. If you look in the old OEMs, it takes them 4 weeks to make releases on products. And these companies do it in 24 hours. Divergent manufacturing. Let's hyper-localize manufacturing. Let's think about the low capital and open source manufacturing process. A transparent footprint across the value chain. A reduced social, water, and CO2 footprint. And this is the interesting thing. I believe all these building blocks I just showed you will be open source and will be available to anybody. And we see this with companies like Local Motors, companies like NextTV, Faraday Future. They are all able to develop cars, and very good cars, in a very short amount of time because everything is going to be available. And this is a drastic change. So if the big ones, and I love the big ones because they have done it very well, but now they have to make a big move. So if they don't adapt, new ones will do it, and they will do it way faster. And as we can already see it, they're going to do it also way smarter. And this is why I say to all of us working in startups, working for the big automotive players, abundant continuity. Let's really start a new chapter. And this is why I called my speech here, Mobilize Discontinuity. Thank you very much.
Just one fast question, Stephan. So, of course, when we talk about this new players, the digital players entering the market, first thought is Tesla, Google, maybe Apple, but the focus also should maybe shift to the Asian room, as I learned from you. Maybe you can explain a bit about these new players that are emerging.
I mean, if you just look at two companies like NextTV and Faraday Future, both of these companies have more than €1 billion of funding, and they already hired hundreds of the best engineers and designers from BMW, from Tesla, and even from Apple now, and from Google X. There's a very clear understanding of the market. By the way, the money comes from the Alibaba founders, from the Baidu founders, so there's a very good understanding of data. I mean, they are Chinese funded, but the companies are in the US based, London based, Munich based, and also Shanghai based. So these are just two examples. That means if you have the right vision, money is no problem. There are so many people with so much money, and the key is that the key building blocks, it's not a secret anymore to design, to manufacture, to develop, to engineer a car. It's not a secret anymore. And I think this is a real game changer. And I'm happy to welcome all these companies, and I'm working with them, which is a great honor. But I'm still convinced, also, by the way, from an economic point of view and for many other reasons, we need the big ones to stay with us, but they have to change. It's not just a change, it's a rapid move they have to do.
Okay, Last question, very brief answer, please. What is the craziest, coolest material that you held in your hands in the last year, maybe, that could be found in an automotive in the near future?
Yeah, the blackest black. I'm not talking about this black from UK company. I'm talking about the real inventors. It's the blackest black you can imagine, absorbing 99.2% of every light. And maybe another thing, I would like to invite you to our stand. I told you we cannot show you cars or these kind of things, but we can show you a very fascinating technology, like holographic technology, which we also will see in cars. And on the other side, you're going to see a very interesting surface and a very interesting light manipulations. My two colleagues, engineers, Adrian and Robert, they can give you a little bit more background. I think, Ole, this is hard to answer because there's so much interesting stuff. But again, like the OEMs, they know about it, they don't work with it. The small ones, they take the stuff, they see the potential and put it into their prototypes. And that is massive. It's really massive.
Last year, I've been in San Francisco at the area where Google X now is based with these huge hangars. And there was a little startup, a little prototype from a startup standing around a car. And the car had like very huge wheels. And I was asking, what are these for? And they were built in electric motors. And from the first idea to the prototype to the car being on the street, it took them 48 hours. So they're super fast, and yeah, just underlines your point. Thank you very much, Stephan Liske. Was very insightful.